Few punishments in history carried the chilling weight of flaying, the deliberate and calculated stripping away of human dignity in its most literal form. It was never just a punishment. It was a display of dominance, a warning etched into memory rather than flesh alone. For rulers and conquerors, it was a method of control, a symbol of power that ensured fear long outlived the act itself. Those who employed it left behind a legacy that still haunts history today. The Assyrians were not just conquerors, they were architects of terror. No empire wielded fear as effectively as the Neo-Assyrians, whose campaigns were marked not just by military prowess, but by a chilling level of psychological warfare. To resist them was to invite not only death, but a fate far worse. A slow, public, and excruciating demonstration of suffering meant to break the spirit of entire civilizations. The brutal conquest of Lachish in 701 BCE, led by King Sennacherib, stands as one of history's most infamous examples. The detailed reliefs from his palace at Nineveh depict Assyrian soldiers standing over their captives, methodically peeling away the skin of the defeated. The Assyrians mastered this tactic long before Sennacherib. Under King Ashurbanipal, the conquest of Elam in 647 BCE reached new levels of destruction. The Elamite capital of Susa was left in ruins, its leaders subjected to unspeakable torment. Inscriptions from Nineveh's library boast of Ashurbanipal's vengeance, describing in chilling detail how rebel leaders were flayed, and their remains displayed as grim trophies of conquest. Even before Ashurbanipal, the legacy of cruelty had been firmly established. Ashurnisirpal II, one of the earliest and most ruthless Assyrian kings, recorded his own horrific deeds in cuneiform inscriptions found in the ruins of Kalhu. His chilling words remain among the most infamous ever etched into history. I flayed as many nobles as had rebelled against me and draped their skins over the walls. The Assyrians understood that true power was not just in conquest, but in the terror it instilled. Their empire thrived on fear, and the echoes of their brutality still linger in the historical record, a testament to the unrelenting force they wielded over the ancient world. While the Assyrians used flaying as a tool of terror and warfare, the Achaemenid Persians refined it as a symbol of law and order. For them, this punishment was not just an instrument of fear, but a demonstration of absolute justice, one that left a lasting impression, quite literally, on those who ruled after. Perhaps the most infamous case was the execution of Schisms, a corrupt judge whose fate was recorded by Herodotus in histories. King Cambyses II, son of Cyrus the Great, did not simply sentence him to death for accepting bribes, he ensured that schisms would serve as a warning to all who followed. The judge's skin was flayed and stretched over the very seat he had once presided upon, a chilling reminder that justice in Persia was not to be corrupted. The next man to sit on that throne would do so with the knowledge of what had come before him. His every ruling weighed against the consequences of dishonesty. Justice in the Persian Empire was swift and severe, particularly when it came to rebellion. Darius I, upon securing his throne in 521 BCE, faced a formidable uprising in Babylon. Led by the pretender Nebuchadnezzar III, the punishment for defying Persian rule was ruthless executions, mutilations, and public displays of dominance were standard practice. The Behistun inscription, an imposing rock relief carved into a cliffside in modern-day Iran, commemorates this brutal suppression. Unlike the Assyrians, who sought to break their enemies through sheer terror, the Persians wielded flaying with purpose, turning skin into a legal decree, a physical reminder that disloyalty and corruption would be punished in ways that no one would dare forget. The Mongol conquests, led by Genghis Khan and his successors, were defined by their overwhelming efficiency and brutal psychological warfare. During the invasion of the Khwarezmian Empire, the Mongols used flaying to send a message of utter dominance and submission. When Mongol forces captured the cities of Samarkand and Urgench, they did not simply defeat their enemies, they made sure that the consequences of defiance would be remembered for generations. Reports from the time suggest that the Mongols used flayed skins as trophies and sent them to neighboring cities to serve as a warning. This brutal practice, though horrifying, was employed to break the spirit of resistance long before the Mongols even arrived at a city's gates. In medieval Europe, punishments were often designed not only to punish, but to serve as public spectacles, reinforcing the power of the rulers. Flaying was one of the most extreme forms of justice used for heinous crimes like treason, heresy, and assassination. One of the most notable examples comes from the case of Pierre Bozel, the man who fatally wounded King Richard I of England in 1199, though Richard had pardoned him. His men, angered by the act, decided to flay Bozel alive in front of a crowd, sending a clear message that regicide would not be tolerated. Flaying was not only reserved for royal assassins. In parts of medieval France and the Holy Roman Empire, counterfeiters, who undermined the economy, were often subjected to this punishment. These public displays served to reinforce the power of the ruling class and discourage others from committing similar crimes. While many civilizations used flaying as a punishment, few methods matched the calculated cruelty of linki, or death by 1,000 cuts. Unlike the swift executions of war, this was a drawn-out form of justice, one that emphasized prolonged consequences over immediate death. Practiced in Imperial China, linki was reserved for the worst crimes, particularly treason, where execution alone was not enough. The punishment had to strip away the victim's dignity, making the punishment not just a physical death, but a symbolic erasure from history. This cruel method persisted into the Qing dynasty, with one of the last recorded cases being Fu Chili, executed for murdering his master. Unlike previous eras, this event was photographed by Georges Dumas, sparking international outrage. The growing influence of Western legal ideas led to the punishment's official abolition that same year. Unlike the Mongols, who used flaying as a political tool, or medieval Europe, where it was a rare spectacle, China's linki was designed to strip a person of their humanity, physically and symbolically ensuring that even in death, they were punished beyond the grave. Flaying was never just a form of execution, it was a symbol of control, a calculated display of power designed to outlive the condemned. Whether used by the Assyrians to break their enemies, by the Persians to enforce justice, or by the Mongols to dominate vast territories, flaying was a tool to remind everyone of the price of defiance. In medieval Europe and Imperial China, it was a punishment so severe that it not only ended lives but erased identities, turning individuals into symbols of terror. The legacy of flaying is a dark one, a reminder of how rulers throughout history have used fear to maintain control. The psychological and physical torment inflicted through these punishments left scars not just on the bodies of the victims, but on the collective memories of civilizations. As we reflect on these historical atrocities, we are left with a deeper understanding of human nature, one that recognizes both the capacity for cruelty and the enduring drive for power. The echoes of these ancient practices serve as a haunting reminder of the darker aspects of human history.